usual hosts. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Eliza. It looks like we're having a very eventful newscast coming up for you guys today.
Definitely. We have interviews with both George Washington and Joseph, or John Plum.
Well, on that note, we go to our first interview with George Washington,
who's being interviewed by Mary down in Valley Forge.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm here with the man who has so far organized the Continental Army single-handedly, the Commander-in-Chief, George Washington. How are you today, Mr. Washington?
I'm great, Eliza. Please, just call me George.
So, George, why do you think the Continental Congress chose you as commander?
Well, I've had a lot of previous military experience from fighting during the French and Indian War. During that time, I could become well acquainted with the organization and fighting style of the British Army. This has proven very helpful in the war for independence. Also, I have had practice at my plantation on spending money when it is scarce, and I have political skills.
What do you think about your soldiers?
There were a mixed multitude of people under very little discipline, order, or government. I think that discipline is the soul of an army. It makes numbers formidable. My soldiers were coming and going as they pleased. To stop that I made random roll calls at camps. If a soldier was not there, and the other soldiers had to look for them at once. They were found, and they were punished. My troops are vulgar and immature, and showed no respect for authority. The officers are better friends than they are leaders. They are also not very good workers, but when we are working on some drills and exercises, they will do well in battle.
How did you construct your army?
Well, first we had companies that are commanded by a captain. There are about 20 to 100 men in each company. There are about 3 companies in a regiment, which is commanded by a colonial. A brigade is made out of a few regiments, and we have 8 brigadier generals who are the commanders. We have 4 major generals that command the divisions made of brigades. This makes up our army. Also, in the camps, we have staff officers who make sure the soldiers have enough shelter, food, and ammunition to live and fight. They also make sure orders are understood and carried out.
George, what was your first experience in battle?
Well, I guess my first major battle was when I accompanied General Braddock in the French and Indian War. Unfortunately, we were ambushed, and instead of listening to me, like I said, and retreating, the troops stayed and got shot. Then, after Mr. Braddock died, I was appointed commander of British troops in Virginia.
Very interesting. I heard that you're quite a party man yourself. Is that right?
Yes. After looking over the field all day, I would usually come home and have a dinner party. I would have to say that about 2,000 guests visited my home at Mount Vernon in about 8 years. That was also at the height of my partying-ness.
Can you tell me a few things about your childhood?
Of course. I was born to Mary and Augustine Washington on February 22nd, 1732. For the first few years of my life, I lived near the Potomac River until my family moved 40 miles to my current home, Mount Vernon.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. Back to you, Daniel.
There are some things I didn't know about George Washington.
Yes, indeed. And we'll be right back after this message.
The Continental Army needs your help. They are fighting for a very good cause and are suffering greatly. Please listen to the following and call the number on the screen to help. You can make a difference. Just call. Supplies are low. Every day our country's patriots face starvation. There is little food to go around. At nights they are cold and need blankets and tents to protect them from the harsh wind and cold. They have to wear deerskin shirts and have no proper uniforms. Their clothes wear out fast and there are not always replacements. They are at a great disadvantage to the British. Money is needed for gunpowder and other weapons. Most of all, we need your help in this time against the British, so we can be a free country. Please, donate your time and money. It will be greatly appreciated. Our soldiers can't do it without you. Call the number on the screen to become an American patriot.
Please, donate to the Continental Army.
Wow, after work, I'll be sure to donate the Army care package to some needy troops.
I think that they're just scamming us. You want to know what? I think the life of a soldier is the best possible life ever. They're just trying to get money from unsuspecting people with big hearts and even bigger coin sacks.
Well, you just don't like spending money on things that could actually help.
Anyway, our next interview is about a young boy who is helping free our country, John Plum. Good evening. I'm here with John Plum, an 18-year-old who is currently serving in the Continental Army. John, what first inspired you to join the Continental Army?
Well, I wanted to join the Continental Army since I was 14 years old. I guess I was first inspired to join the Army during the summer of 1775. You see, during that time, the Army was recruiting in my area. Many of my older friends enlisted, and I felt left out when they all left to serve their country. At that time, the Army was also offering a mighty fine signing bonus, too. $1 whole. The only thing that troubled me was the fact that soldiers were required to sign up for a minimum of 1 year's service. I wasn't quite sure if I could handle being away from my family for that long. Luckily, by the time I was old enough to enlist, the minimum service had been reduced to 6 months' time.
Have you seen a lot of action so far during the war?
Well, I suppose so. I've been in a number of skirmishes with the Redcoats, and I'm proud to say I've killed a couple along the way. But I haven't really been in any major battles yet. I much prefer the skirmishes, though. The light clothing of us Continentals makes it easy for us to ambush the British when they least expect it, and then sneak away quietly before more Redcoats can come to investigate.
What's life like as a soldier? Are you treated well? Do you eat enough?
Well, there's certainly parts of it I could go without, especially the sleeping on the cold, hard ground, week after week, with no blankets. There's also never enough for us to eat. I ate more in a day back home than I eat a week in the Army. A lot of the time, if you don't want to starve, you gotta go off into the woods and forage. This keeps us from starving at least, but there's still hardly ever any meat, and we can't waste the ammunition on hunting. But I knew it could be hard when I signed up, so it doesn't bother me too much. The real reason I'm here is because I love my country, and I'll do everything I can to see it gets its freedom. Who knows? Maybe someday I'll be able to tell my grandchildren how I served in the war that gave our nation freedom.
One last question, John. In your opinion, how long do you think this war with Great Britain will go on for?
Well, I'm no strategist, and I don't exactly know how we're doing in some of the other colonies, but I'd guess we're going to be at war for at least another 3 years before we get our freedom. Those Redcoats can keep coming, but we're fighting for our freedom, and justice always wins out in the end.
Gracias, John.
If I could join the Army, Mr. Plum's inspiring story would make me want to join.
Speaking of joining the Army, if anyone watching this wants to join the Army to help free our country, tune into this next infomercial for more information. If your son or husband wants to talk about joining the Continental Army, listen to them. The Army will give you hope for the future, because at the end of the war, they will get a large sum of money. If you want our country to be free from those British like I do, you will listen to your son or husband. If they join the Army, they might have an actual uniform, no guarantees. They may also be supplied with guns and bayonets, also no guarantees. If you're lucky, they will get free food, definitely no guarantees. So make the right choice and let your son or husband join the Continental Army. Go to the website, www.gopatriot.mil for more information.
All from this Continental Update. See you next time.
Food, warmth. We need uniforms and proper clothing.
And ammunition. And guns.
Daniel looks sad. Oh, gross.
Geez, stop filming already.
Okay.
Commercial for more information. Ha!